Hello and welcome to the lesson about connections between texts. So today we're going to talk about how to compare and contrast passages. Often you'll be asked on a test to compare and contrast two or more passages. So let's look at the definition. It says compare and contrast is a concept that is used to examine information in order to show the similarities and differences between two or more thoughts or ideas. It is important to be able to see the similarities and differences between items and ideas within a passage and between multiple passages. Compare and contrast organization can show the relationships between items, people, or ideas. Look at this Venn diagram to get a visual picture of what comparing and contrasting looks like. I'm pretty confident at this point you guys have seen many Venn diagrams and have probably completed at least 50 of them in your school career, so this should not be new. On the bottom left here you can see we have New York City, and on the bottom right is Los Angeles. Each circle represents the city, and where the circles overlap, this is where the two cities have things in common. This is what a Venn diagram does. So on the left, over under New York, you can see that New York provides public transportation. There are very small living spaces, and the development grows upward instead of outward. If you know anything about New York City, you know that it's basically set around Manhattan, which is an island, and the surrounding areas. But because the population has been growing and moving into that area for hundreds of years now, there's really no place for them to expand because there is no open spaces for probably 50 miles in any direction around New York City. So this is why the living spaces are small and development goes up. That's why they build skyscrapers. Los Angeles, on the other hand, cars are a necessity. There is no good public transportation. Everything is more spread out. They have lots of land and room out there. So Los Angeles, you're able to have a yard and more parks, and they can keep adding to the area around Los Angeles. They keep adding suburbs and expanding the surrounded areas, so they have more space to develop in a more outward sprawl. Now, because they're both cities, there are other things that they have in common, and here are a few of them. They are both very expensive to live in. They both have a very diverse population. They both have a ton of traffic, and they are both very important economic centers for our country and for the whole world. So let's talk about the word compare and the word contrast. Compare means similarities. Look for words such as the following: similar, in the same way, likewise, just like, as well, in addition. Besides looking for those words within a passage, you should also be trying to use these words when you're writing about comparisons between objects or passages. Look at this picture here. You can see we have apples, lots and lots of apples. They are all very similar. They have the red color. They also likewise have kind of a greenish center right around the stem, just like each other. They are all very similar. Okay. Contrast, on the other hand, you want to look for words like the following: different, in contrast, on the other hand, however, on the contrary, instead, although, and but. Oh, that's not what I meant. I was trying to expand the page here. There we go. Make sure you can see at the bottom. Okay, so looking at these two pictures, we know they're two pictures of apples, and all of these apples are similar, but all of these apples do have many differences. Okay, so whereas we have many red apples, in contrast, this picture also throws in some green apples and even some apples that look like they might have a little golden or yellow on them. This picture is very neat and orderly. On the contrary, this looks just like a bunch of apples that have been dumped down on somebody's counter. While these apples are all standing up perfectly straight, instead, these apples seem to be going in different directions. You can see this one's leaning over, this one's almost all the way on its side, this one's facing front. Okay, so here is how you would use contrasting to talk about apples. You can use the same strategies when you're talking about passages. You can talk about how passages are similar, how they have similar topics. 99% of the time when you are looking at contrasting two passages, they have the same topic. It doesn't mean that they are the same exact passage. You need to keep that in mind. Two different passages. You could have one passage about, or two passages about war, and one might be a memoir about somebody, about their personal experiences, and the other one might be a political piece talking about how great the war was for our economics. So they're both about war, but one is probably telling you about some very traumatic and horrible experiences, while the other is giving you the positive sides of war. Both of them have the same similar topic, but the meaning, the author's purpose, and the overall themes are going to be very contrasting. You can see these slides are very large today. Now your turn. How would you complete this one? So take a couple minutes, the recording will pause for you in a second, and write down a few ideas about the Cat in the Hat, the Grinch Who Stole Christmas, and then maybe below that write some of their similarities under both. Be ready to come back to class to do this, so really do take a few minutes to think about this and prepare your answer when we do it in class. So now we're going to turn and look at a couple passages. These are very, very short passages, and the question at the top is, can you tell the differences between these two passages? So you've got this picture here connecting them. It says Life on the Bayou. Passage number 1. Riding my bike on the bayou with my father was one of my favorite pastimes growing up. Those memories are probably the most unforgettable ones I have. We were inseparable then. The bayou was our special place. The concrete trails surrounded by deep, dark bayou water and the lush green foliage were like a second home to me. When I have children, I would like to move back there and share those experiences with them. Passage 2. Our hometown of Houston, Texas is also known as the Bayou City of its inhabitants. There are more than 2,500 miles of waterways located here. The Bayou Preservation Association is a group of citizens who have made it their mission to protect and preserve these beautiful waterways. We spread public awareness about the streams and promote conservation. BPA believes the concrete bayous most Houstonians know and love destroyed animal habitats and countless trees. We hold town meetings, review policy, and plant trees. All of our work is done in the name of saving the bayou for our children's children to enjoy. So think about what you're being asked. Can you tell the differences between these two passages? Hint, think about the main idea, the author's purpose, and the points of view first. We already know they have a similar topic. They're both about the bayou. From there, once you've figured out the main idea, the author's purpose, and the points of view, you can add details that support your answer. Here's an example. Both of these passages show a fondness for the bayou and would like to see them preserved for future generations. However, the first one is more of a nostalgic memoir, while the other seems to be informative and trying to convince people to save the bayou. Review time! When asked to look at two passages, keep in mind that they are most likely related by topic. Use a scrap piece of paper to create your own Venn diagram and figure out the similarities and differences beyond the topic. Remember, the theme can be different even when the topic is the same. And let's wrap it up. Always pay very close attention to the question. If you are being asked to compare, you need to only write about the things that are alike between the passages. If you are being asked to contrast, you need to show the differences. If you are asked to do both, do both. So that's it. Congratulations. You just mastered how to find connections between texts. That wasn't so hard, was it? Remember to use your tools. You are allowed to use scrap paper during the tests, even during any tests like the Keystones or SATs. So if you're asked to make connections, in other words, if it tells you to compare or contrast, sit down, grab a piece of scrap paper, and make a Venn diagram. It will organize your thoughts. You will do much better every single time. I guarantee it. You've been using these for most of your school career. Why not outsmart those test makers and show what you know? That's it. We will see you back in class. Have a great day.